You show up, and now 3 of us are gone.
Why'd you bring us here?
This is all connected. You show up, and now 3 of us are gone.
Why'd you bring us here?
Ah, there. They call me the governor. Welcome to this Walking Dead fan panel. Brought to you by Wizard World and Fandom Spotlight. Now, Wizard World announced today they have a new Wizard World Signature Series with the premiere of a 10-event horror series starting on March 20th. And there is a subscription service and it allows fans to pick and choose their experiences. You can gain access to one or all 10 the horror events plus bonus features, and it starts at only $3.99. So you can get the full horror experience with our platinum package at $29.99. With various package offerings, you will surely find something to surprise the horror fan that lives inside of you, though I don't get surprised a lot. Go to wizardworld.com for more information. All right, that gets the housekeeping out of the way. As I said, I am the governor. I have some friends here who want to talk about this last episode of The Sleeping Dead or The Walking Dead or The Biting Dead, whatever you want to call it. And want to introduce, first we have Jaz. She is the social, what is it, the social media manager or person for Wizard World. Tell us about yourself, Jaz.
Hi, I'm Jaz. I pretty much bring you everything you see on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I've been a Walking Dead fan since the mid-season. I got into it the mid of season 4. So
When I was still around. Good.
And I am still around. Yep.
And of course, we have Machond, who is an awesome reactor. I love being part of the Skybound reactions with her. And tell us a little bit more about you, Machond. You actually have Ms. Kayla is like saying I love you. So
I'm Miss Kayla. Yes, I am really just another person in the Walking Dead community, and I absolutely love it here. I upload reaction videos to The Walking Dead to YouTube, and I go live on YouTube after every episode. So before the reaction video comes out, they get the real emotions.
That is awesome. And yes, some of your reactions are some of the funniest. In fact, Johnny was saying last week that you were one of the go-to people for when they need a clip at the end of the Skybound reactions. And we have a returning person. We had done a Walking Dead panel quite a ways back with Johnny and Travis and Neil Cohen, who is the author of the Exit Zero Zombie series. Neil.
And thank you, Governor. Yes, the Exit Zero Zombie trilogy and Business is Dead, Resurrecting Entrepreneurship, all about fans of The Walking Dead who launched their first entrepreneurship based on their fandom of The Walking Dead.
So yeah, that people are trying to cash in on me. Oh, I don't, never mind. Anyway, so we have a great group here, different perspectives, and we just had this very interesting episode. One of the bonus episodes, 1018, Find Me. And it focused on many people's favorite character, Daryl. Not mine, but you know, I am the governor and he blew up my tank. So he is not my favorite person, but this was a tale of love, would you say? What were your initial reactions to the episode? We'll start with Machond. Tell us.
Okay. A lot of my curiosity about Daryl, I've learned a lot about him. Okay, the reason that this love story makes sense to me is because Daryl was down bad. He was down bad, however many years into the apocalypse now, looking for his dead brother in the woods alone for years. And along comes this wild lady that lives in a cabin in the woods with her dog. It actually made sense to me. I am a fan of it. It's one of my favorite episodes because of how beautifully it was written. It's not like a Shane and Lori scene or an Abraham and Rosita scene or even a Michonne and Rick scene. It was a very Daryl thing. I would like to see more of it, but
I think they cut down on the kissing scenes for the protection of the actress. Mm-hmm. Neil, what was your impression of this episode?
I'm sorry. Well, that was my episode. It's funny when you said Sleeping Dead at the very beginning. I was like, we're compadres on that. I don't know. There was so many issues I had with it. Sure, Daryl finally got some. That's great. I was wondering, how long is it going to take him? He's probably like, the best looking guy on the show and just doesn't seem to make any use of it. But there was just some weird stuff. And first, clear something up for me, please. When he said he was looking for his brother, he meant Rick, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So now
we know where Merle is.
So we're talking, it's been months, if not 2 years almost, that they kept jumping around with the time that since Rick's gone and he's looking. And he can't be far from the camp. because Carol visits every so often. It doesn't look like she's trekking 100 miles to see him. So he's still pretty damn close to where they're at. And he's looking for Rick. Like, in his mind, is Rick just a little bit down the river and his foot was stuck in the mud and he's waiting for Daryl? He's like, oh man, thank God you were here, Daryl. I've been stuck for over a year and a half. My foot's stuck in the mud. I would have pulled it out, but these are great boots. I didn't want to lose the boot, and I was worried what was he, is he really, is that, I don't know. Was it BS that he said he's just looking for Rick or his brother, or was he actually, what did he hope to find? That's
a very, very good point, and I want to talk about that. But first, I want to get Jaz's reaction to the episode, and then we're going to talk about how long do you look for a guy and how far do you look. We'll talk about that. But Jaz, what was your thoughts?
Okay, so I mean, if you watched our little show that we did last week, you'll probably would expect me to say that I hated it because I admitted that I was a Carol Daryl shipper. But you know what? I loved it. I thought it was really, really sweet, and I want to know more about Lex. I don't think we're quite done seeing her yet. Where's she at? Maybe with the Reapers?
Well, we'll definitely address that. My thought, I mean, when something happened in the episode, it was interesting, but there was a lot of time we're watching Daryl walk through the woods. We're having this very long, boring conversation with Carol across a river. At one point it's like the gossiping dead. It's just like there was so much dead air. And I mean, I understand Daryl might be a little slow, but I have had to woo somebody and it took a year for me to get anywhere with them. But he went like, 3 years?
Did you try throwing a fish at her door?
That was not something I tried, but yeah, 3 years, and then he got a 10-month relationship out of it, and then he screwed things up. I mean, we've determined Daryl is not asexual. That was a lot of a fan theory that he was asexual. We've determined that he's not homosexual. He might be bisexual. We don't know. And that's fine. That's not something I was actually caring about finding out, for Daryl. Again, he's not my favorite character because he blew up my tank. And other stuff, he pretty much took my right-knived guy away from me. Merle, messed up with his head. But yeah, I just thought it was the story elements and the scenes were good when they actually happened. There was just so much dead space that it was just like, and then very slowly it would fade in. 10 months later, 2 years later, 17 years later. It was just like, how long is this going to drag on? It took him 3 months to apologize with a fish. Come on, really? So that was my thought. And you guys can rebut that if you want.
Well, I'd like to hear. I would like to hear what the ladies think. I'm going to throw the fish to you, ladies.
Do you want?
Since Jaz is quiet, I'll start. Or Jaz, you gonna go first?
You can go for it.
It makes me sad when people shit on the character development. Just because an episode is not all fights and explosions and all of this action. I really love episodes like this. Like, we never really get to see our characters have these intimate conversations, like Carol telling Daryl about her grandma and why she has a special right foot. I like stuff like that, especially because I love Carol and Daryl. So things like that, I love all of that stuff, because when they're fighting for their lives 24/7, you don't really get to see how they really are as people. So I really like episodes like this. A lot of times people are like, oh, I was bored. And I'm like, okay, so you don't really have an attention span, I guess. It's fine.
I agree. And usually with episodes like this as well, you kind of learn more about the characters and often understand why they are the way they are now. Like with the governor, I think, we can all agree that he was maybe a little nuts at one point.
Hey, that's not politically correct to say.
I really believe that he could find a cure for, this illness that And that's why he was the way he was and did some of the things that he did. So.
Wait, the governor thought he was going to find a cure?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I had a
possibly
guy.
with
I
his
had a
daughter.
guy. I had
He
a
was
guy.
trying with Milton. Do you remember Milton?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Okay.
he ended
right.
up killing Milton and Andrea. So
Yeah, because I remember Eugene also had the cure. Remember?
Yeah,
And
he's
he
full
was
of
Oh,
shit
yeah.
too.
But
No,
no,
I want to
well,
make it
listen,
clear.
and I'm not saying I'm not saying I don't want to see character development. I absolutely do, and it doesn't have to be total action. In fact, I prefer where you're seeing more of the backstory. Like earlier in the season, we saw the story of Alpha and oh my god, I can't believe I blanked on her name.
Beta.
The daughter. No, not
Lydia?
Beta. She had met Beta. This is where she met Beta,
Lydia.
but the daughter.
Lydia.
Lydia. That's it. So when we saw her at the very beginning, and I love any glimpse of earlier in the apocalypse. So that was like 7 years earlier. And so their cars were still driving, and even a glimpse of that I liked. And we saw her kind of what was happening with her and how Lydia kind of slowly realized, hey, I got to fit in with my mom here, and changed. And it was differently. It was interesting, different. I don't know. I didn't learn anything really about Daryl. I didn't learn anything new about Daryl, really.
I mean, I did think that the banter between Carol and Daryl was fun, and some of it. I just think some of the scenes are drawn out too long. How long do they have to sit there cleaning fish? I was just like, I didn't mind the fact that Daryl was giving her the stink eye like she was doing it wrong. It was just, it took so long to get to that point. And they're just sitting there scraping for and I'm just watching the time go by. I do like well-developed characters. It's just,
and
there was just so much dead space in between. They could have done it more efficiently.
Yeah, and I almost thought that there was going to be a twist. This is the fact you see Carol spear the fish in the first try, and then in the flashback you saw the girl Leah spear the fish on the first try, and then Daryl had said something about, well, we're not going to let it catch up to us, to Carol, and then we see Leah and they were doing the same thing. I thought, and now this would have blown me away, that it was a twist and there was no Leah, and that this was him conflating, like in his time in isolation, that he actually kind of created a scenario, or maybe even
an imaginary friend, a figment of his imagination.
And that he was almost remembering something that didn't happen, or that he became so isolated and lonely that he had created this imaginary friend, and then he comes to the realization that she really and he's remembering her as if she existed and she didn't. That's almost the way I was thinking was going to happen. Like he was creating this scenario, this imaginary Leah, based on his interactions with Carol. And I would have been like, that would have been, holy cow, blew me away. And that's when suddenly he realized, I'm losing it. I'm seeing and having conversations with people that don't exist. And now it's time for me to go back to Alexandria or Hilltop or wherever, because I've actually broke. I've gone on, but it's not. It was just, okay, he met some chick that lived alone in the woods somehow, and
actually there's nothing to indicate that she actually existed. There's no corroborating evidence. They go to this place. She could have been a figment of his imagination, and they just didn't tell us this, but it's very difficult for us to determine one way or the other, because Dog can't talk.
I was about to say, this is Dog's backstory episode. Yeah. Please don't take away his shine. This is his whole backstory. Dog was born the same day her son died. Let's not take away his shine.
Yeah, but it could have been, that Dog was there, and Dog was sheltering in this cabin, and there was no actual woman there. I mean, and this could just be lazy writing. How did Leah tie up Daryl? she had a
said
gun
the same thing. I wonder if
pointed
it's-
at him, and then she's gonna like what? Sit down in that chair. She's gonna grab a rope. She's gonna put down the gun, and Daryl's gonna like grab her and knock her out. He's gonna be out of there. There's no
Probably
way.
let her do it. That's the only
No.
way I saw it happening.
Yeah, he would have.
Or he
had
was
to,
into it.
other things we learn about Daryl. Yeah.
Please don't tie me up. Don't tie me up. Please, please. Don't.
We are getting a lot of comments that people love this episode. Even though, like someone said, they agree we're not done with Leah. And
love to take
one
people
person
away.
thinks Leah might be. This is Bubba Jinx 777. Thinks Leah might be with the armor people. I guess the Commonwealth. But before we get into that, how long do you look in the woods for Rick? You know, they were looking. I think Daryl was still living in the woods. You know, after the time jump when Carol came by with Henry, that was still a whole part of it.
This was at the point in the story where nobody fucking with each other and everyone was very distant after the whole thing happened with Machond and Daryl, and they were just not having it with anybody, and Alexandria kept to themselves and all of the community kept to themselves. And obviously Daryl has no problem being by himself. So I think he felt like he just, well, I might as well look for Rick. What else am I doing?
And like, at what point do you stop looking for somebody that you care about? Anyway.
Yeah,
you
I,
find
mean,
the
I
body.
I would agree, but he like gave up this relationship with Leah, if she was real, for going out and looking for Rick, which at this point, it's been years. It's kind of like, something well, I'm looking for Rick, but I'm actually just being by myself. Why would he give up the relationship if he knows in his head that he's just going through the motions?
Probably never.
Yeah,
had
I
a
didn't get.
relationship.
Oh, sorry,
No, you can't.
Machond.
I was just saying he's probably never had a relationship before in his life. So it's like, oh, wow, this is new. He had his first domestic dispute.
Yeah, but I didn't get. I wasn't sure if that was a ploy that he just wanted to be alone, you know, and he was using the looking for Mr. Goodbar excuse, but he really wanted to be alone. But at that point, I would think he would go further. You know, it's been years and he's still really just in the backyard, enough where Carol can actually hike to bring him supplies without breaking a sweat. So, and she can travel alone and be absolutely fine. So he's not that far. He's just, okay, I want to be a little ways away from you, but the brooding loner, but I'm not going that far. He could have been all the way to like Kentucky. Well, I think, where are they now? Are they still
They're still in Alexandria, so
Virginia, I think?
Virginia.
Is it still Virginia? Okay.
Yeah.
I get confused because, you know, they film it in Georgia. I remember it was so. Yeah, like he could have been halfway across country. What was it? What was the jump? Dwight made it all the way to Texas in less time. Then Rick made it a mile. Then Daryl made it a mile down the river. Come on, you know. I don't get it.
Well,
Like,
I think he had a base camp, and then he would go walking for a day or half a day and walk back. But I agree that he could have definitely moved out further. If he was looking for Rick, how many years are you going to search the same area without, you know, going further down the river? And
I do agree that I don't get the method to his madness, but the way he screamed when that map got soggy and crumbled, he was highly upset. He was using that map. So, I mean, I think he was more so looking for like a clue
body?
of where Rick was, because he looked everywhere and never found a belt, a boot, nothing. He just completely vanished. Daryl knows Rick is still alive. So I think he's looking for something to figure out where he is and why he never found Rick as a walker, a piece of a shirt. He never found anything of him. So I think he's looking for something. They can't even have a funeral. They don't know where he is.
yeah. So, okay. So does Daryl though blame himself for Rick being on the bridge? I didn't get that. Is Daryl feeling guilty about that? Like he blamed Carol at the end, which kind of came out of the blue. So maybe, you know, there was a
on
lot
Connie,
of like,
which it was
Yeah,
definitely
the Connie
Carol's
thing,
fault.
for sure.
yeah. And that, so obviously he's been holding that nugget in, that little bit of resentment in for a while. But does Daryl blame himself for or is he just because he's a friend? Did they have something unresolved? Like I remember they weren't getting along. It's like going back so many seasons now. I remember they weren't getting along, and then they were, and then Rick kind of sacrificed himself, I guess.
Well, they had that fight, right? They fell in
Yeah.
the thing. He was basically trying to keep Rick. Correct me if I'm wrong, but right before they realized the horde was going towards Alexandria, and things weren't going right, that they were having that fight because Daryl thought Negan should die, and so did Maggie. But then they're like, oh, half the horde is going to Alexandria, so Daryl went to get help, and Rick tried to lead the horde elsewhere. And I think that their last interaction was not exactly buddy-buddy.
Yeah,
So you
so
might have
maybe
some
that's
guilt.
it. If
There's
they
the
gave us
regret
some,
there too.
What's that?
I'm sorry,
I
Jaz.
said, and there's the regret there too. Because I mean, if you leave it not friendly,
Exactly. If there was like
you live-
unresolved, like
you have to live with that
if
for the
he
rest of your life. It sucks.
if he had expressed like, holy cow, I have this unresolved issue with Rick and I can't let it go. And, and you could say, okay, he's not really looking for Rick. He knows Rick's gone, but he's using that because it's a coping method of not moving forward, not accepting
Self-punishment.
Self-punishment, self-isolation, not facing it and just saying, I don't want to deal with anyone anymore. I could understand that way more. And what we don't know about Leah, we don't know why Leah's alone. Obviously, until we didn't get her scoop. She did.
Well, she pretty much said she was with a group, and then she got separated, and she ended up at that place and found that her friend's son that she basically took on as her own was bitten, and she had to put him down. We got a couple of people commenting. Phyllis2284 said she loved this episode. Daryl and Puppy Dog, and Daryl and Leah being intimate. Deborah Ulmer says she loved how this was Dog's origin story too. And everyone processes grief differently. Ms. Kayla says she thinks that Leah was also pregnant.
Ooh!
I mean, that's possible. That's
Before
could be
or after.
Well,
At
no,
what point?
I would imagine what she's insinuating is that Daryl got her pregnant because they don't exactly have a lot of gloves for their love in the apocalypse. And if Leah was pregnant and then Daryl's like, hey, I'm going to go to the river and look for Rick some more. And Leah's like, I didn't tell you I'm pregnant, but I feel like you're abandoning me. It could have been that she was acting even more so out because she suspected or was actually pregnant, and then Daryl was.
Now let me ask you though, in the 10 months they were together, did he ever bring up that, hey, I got this really nice community just a couple miles away, and there's safety and running water?
I imagine not.
We have no clue.
Yeah.
That's the problem with time jumps like this. We don't know what happened. That's why all the scars on Machond and Daryl were such a mystery, because they did this big time jump and we didn't know about the children of the corn.
Yeah.
But
when there's time jumps, you really have to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
The Daryl baby is just wishful thinking. I wouldn't be mad at the Daryl baby at all, though.
But speaking of Leah, she's gone. Do we think she's dead? Do we think she was captured? Do we think we'll see her again? Jaz, why don't you start us off with your thoughts about the possibility of where Leah is now?
Okay, so I definitely think we will be seeing Leah again. I think she's alive somewhere. Kind of going off of the last episode, though, I'm thinking she might be somehow connected to the Reapers, because it was just kind of interesting how they had the Reaper story and then you had Leah. So I think there's going to be a connection there somewhere. I haven't figured that out yet, but there's something going on there, I think.
They could be the people that she ran away from and they want her back. That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because she obviously didn't leave on her own because she'd left the dog. And, and it must have been quick, because you got to think, if she was taken, there was a struggle, the dog would have fought, they would have had to kill the dog, you know, the dog trainer said the dog still seems fine. So, you know, that's why I think something happened, you know, or that it was quick and she got taken away real quick. But also, I was surprised that Daryl, who was mapping out that entire area, who is an expert tracker, who's like looking and sees branches bent and knows that, and he didn't realize he was close to that cabin, that the dog knew it, but he didn't.
Oh,
Like, well, then
in
he's
the
out with
present
Carol, and then
time.
the dog suddenly out of the blue goes running, and he chases it, and he's like shocked. There's the cabin. I'm like,
Well, he
wait a
saw
second.
signs and he was kind of hesitant. But before we get into that, Machond, what do you think about where's Leah? It's like, where's Waldo?
I know for a fact we're going to see her again. There's no way they did all of this with Daryl just for us to never see her again. My only thing is I don't want it to be a very awkward love triangle, because where's Connie? Where's Leah?
Yeah.
What if one comes back, then another comes back? It's weird. I don't know.
Well, what about Carol? What about Carol? You got a love quadrangle.
Carol, at this point, I think we've determined is in the friend
At that
zone.
Iconic.
point, it's over. It's not going to happen at that point. Too much time's gone by.
Yeah,
Siblings,
Connie,
best friends.
yeah, they're like brother and sister at this point. I'm actually wondering, I think that she was taken. I agree, because I think Dog was running around when she was taken, or otherwise he would have tried to defend her, or he would have tried to get Daryl. I'm wondering, though, if it's not the Reapers, but actually the helicopter people.
Hmm.
Because,
Which helicopter people?
well,
that took Rick.
the
The
three
Commonwealth.
circles,
Rick?
They're the
the ones
Commonwealth.
have Rick.
The
Mhm.
Commonwealth. That's the Commonwealth, right?
No, I think the three circles people
The
are different than
The CRM
the CRM.
is the
Exactly.
3 rings that took Rick. Yeah, the Commonwealth,
Oh,
the stormtroopers, right?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
the clone troopers.
Yeah, but isn't that the Commonwealth? That's the Commonwealth.
No, the CRM is a little bit different. Yeah, I'm not sure. The Commonwealth might know of them. There might be, but and
Which
they
is
might
why
be
he
too
finished
big
the
for them to
comics.
kill off. But if it is the people who took her away in the helicopter, that's why, because Dog, if anyone dragged Leah away on foot on the ground, Dog would follow.
And I wonder what if it was
Unless
somebody
they
she
go
knew.
through the water, you know.
Like, where? How did
Yeah.
her dog? She said she didn't see anybody for years until her and Daryl met. All she had was her dog, and all of a sudden she disappears, and her dog is not with her. What is going on?
Yeah, it doesn't bode well for a voluntary leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had to be someone taking her. Ms. Calith says she thinks Leah's either with the Reapers or the Armored Guys. Which
What
again,
armor
that's
guys?
The guys in the white, like stormtrooper
Commonwealth,
outfits.
the
They showed
Commonwealth.
them as a kind of a at the very end where they got Eugene. He was going to track down the girl on the radio,
Yep.
and then
that he sang to.
Mhm.
and Princess took him to where he thought she was going to be, and then suddenly you see all these guys come running out like stormtroopers. And I swear to God, I thought that was the Commonwealth. I'm going to look it up right now.
That is the
That
Commonwealth.
is the
not mentioning
Commonwealth,
them.
but
The
not the
CRM is
CRM.
who took Rick.
Okay, got it.
CRM took Rick. The Commonwealth took Eugene.
Got it.
And
Okay.
Missy Rose agrees with me because obviously I'm awesome that Leah was taken. But yeah, unless they went across the river and somehow got rid of the scent that way, or unless it was by air, if they took her over to the ground, Dog would follow. And
You on to something. When you say it by air, you on to something. You on to something.
yeah, I think we're gonna come across them again. I think Leah's story is not over. I think we will see her, but it'll be, again, years will have passed. It can be awkward because Connie is hopefully going to show up one of these days with that prick Virgil. So,
And we only
Yeah.
have so much Walking Dead left, so it's not like we have forever. So
Well, we got the Daryl and Carol spinoff, so they could
That is
always save it
true.
and put it for them.
Oh, please no. That'd be
they'll drag it out way too long.
I need answers soon. I can't do the dragging out of the storyline.
I mean, I realize that there were certain actors like the gentleman who ended up being a savior from season 1, Morales. Yeah, he that was a long jump in between him, and there was a jump between seeing Lenny James in season 1, and then later on seeing him in Clear, and then seeing him, hunt down Alexandria. So he had some downtime in between, but I'm hoping they don't do that with Leah. That would.
Well, let me ask you, is there anyone left from the governor's leadership? We know his little henchman is gone. We know Merle is gone. Was there anyone else? I'm trying to think back.
He killed them all, remember?
They're all gone, right?
Well, some of the townspeople ended up moving into the prison after I left, but I think most of those people are dead at this point.
Tara
the only one,
recently-
Tara, was like, was part of my new crew, and now she's dead. So,
But did they ever follow up and go back to the prison?
No.
It's
So they-
overrun with Bidas at this point.
Yeah, but that was kind of odd. They just left it. And the remainder of Woodbury is in the prison. Yeah, they're overrun. They're surrounded by walkers, but that.
It was
Hasn't
because the
stopped.
governor, he tore down the gate. There was explosions and literal thousands of walkers coming from everywhere. So everybody just got by away with their life. Like,
Yeah,
they
I mean,
had
you
just
think
never-
a gunshot is going to draw a lot of Bidas in?
Exactly.
A tank? That brings quite a few. Question for all of us from Phyllis 2284 for the panel. Do you think Carol is done making dangerous decisions?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
No,
I would think she's even making more of them now, because she seems to be like, I don't care. Our luck's run out. It's over. She's not hopeful. She's not in a hopeful state of mind. She's in a do what I want state of mind. It's over. It's to tomorrow I'll dead, or in a week from now I'll be dead, but it's over. And
Well, I
So-
don't know about her entirely. She is a bit hopeless right now, but I think she's got regrets. But I think she will still make dangerous decisions when she feels she's right, because as Daryl said, she doesn't know how to stop anymore.
you know what I would love to see for Carol though? I mean, I know all the children somehow end up dead under her care, but I think that
Worst babysitter ever.
Y'all
I-
gonna leave my auntie alone.
I think that if Alpha's daughter, and I think they could actually make it work, that she could be a good mentor or mother to her, and that could be like the daughter she never had, basically, in a way.
whose daughter?
I would love.
Lydia, Alpha's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Remember,
yeah.
Lydia said, I'm not looking for another mom.
And I said, that's good, because her kids tend to die.
No.
I
All
think
of the children,
if those two got together, that one would live. So
all of the children that have died have not necessarily been under Carol's care. Lizzie was feeding, what was it, Mika? No, it was Lizzie. Lizzie was feeding rats to walkers at the prison, not her child. She killed her own
Yep.
sister. Sam was not her child. Henry and Benjamin were Ezekiel's kids. So really the only child that was her fault was her own, unfortunately, because she let Lori pull her back when she should have chased her baby in the woods. But hey, I blame her for her own daughter's death and none of the other kids, honestly, because none of the other kids were hers.
Yeah, but again, I wouldn't be anxious to have Carol babysit for my kids.
She did good with Judith.
yeah,
Yeah, but wasn't Tyrese there? So,
Hey, Tyrese died, but yeah, she did good with Judith.
Let's see here. I do still think that this big fight that Carol and Daryl had, I mean, when you think about it, they're going to make up. They're going to move past it, especially since there's this whole spinoff with the two of them. So I'm still kind of aggravated at AMC for revealing this, because now it's like, oh yeah, Carol's in danger, but she's not going to die. There's a spinoff. Daryl's in danger, but he's not going to die. There's a spinoff. they're fighting, but they're going to make up because they're both in a spinoff. And that would be a really, really sucky spinoff for them walking around not talking to each other for however many seasons. So, they're going to get past this. Any other
Thank God
people want
for
to
that.
vent?
They would just be there cleaning fish for an hour each night.
And Carol would be like, you want to do it? You want to do it?
I think that might have been their first like real argument out of all these years that they've been friends. I think that might have been like their first like legit friend argument they've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had some disagreements.
Yeah, but that was
It's never been that bad though. Never been that bad. Like
It might
this,
not have even
this
really
is
been
painful for me to watch. So.
yeah, I don't even think it was honestly an argument because it was just both of them really saying what they wanted to say. And Carol said, this isn't about this isn't about that. Just tell me how you feel. And he told her how he felt. So I mean, they had some strong words. I'll just say that.
I don't think Daryl was wrong that
He wasn't.
about what Carol's doing and, her avoiding, kind of running away from things and all that. I don't think he was wrong. I think he needs to, she needs to face that. And hopefully by their own series, she'll dial back a little, but back to the original thing, she's still going to make the decisions she thinks are right.
I feel like Henry is kind of what threw Carol over the edge, because over the years, Carol has literally been there from the CDC to Terminus to the Whisperers, everything in between to save the entire group's life all at once by herself. But after Henry is when she got reckless. Like Terminus, she did all of that by herself with a firecracker and a gun. Very calculated. She didn't need to risk anybody's life. So I think Henry is where she got reckless. She was even seeing him because she wasn't sleeping. She was seeing him. He wasn't even there. So I feel like losing another child on top of all of the other children that she was around is what like made her kind of lose her mind a little bit, because any other time she was very, very calculated.
Oh yeah, you could see her reaction when those guys, stole her ring and threatened Henry, the former saviors, and then she tracked them down and lit them all on fire. So you don't mess with Carol's kids. But unfortunately, however protective she is, it doesn't always work out in her favor. I got to admit, I actually liked Henry. And I was so upset to see his head on a pike because I wanted to see him have some kind of relationship with Lydia. I wanted them to find some happiness, but no, they had to do that. And
Yeah, that was
glad Alpha's dead.
That was a weird decision. I understand, like, if they're going to do something for Carol, like, if you got to break Carol, that's the way to break Carol. Because remember, she lost more than Henry. She lost pretty much Ezekiel. Her relationship with Ezekiel's done because of that. But yeah, there was a couple characters that came and went pretty damn quick, where you really kind of thought you were going to get to know them. And I don't mind when there's a surprise. Holy cow, I did not see that coming, that character's dead, but they really wiped the slate clean with that.
Tara is the head that hurt me on the Pikes.
Yeah.
Tara's the one that hurt. That was my girl.
I don't know. I was not that upset with Tara, though I do admit she was becoming less annoying. And she was actually stepping up and becoming a leader. Before that, I just picture her telling me how she was in the police academy and trying to act all big and badass. And no, I wasn't a fan until later on, after Jesus was avoiding his responsibility and she stepped up. But
Ooh,
I would say I respected her more. So, what, the end of Jesus?
That
Yeah.
If there was a waste of any character, let me tell
Yes,
you.
I agree 100%. That was
We had a whole
That was-
ninja introduce us to these other communities and then just never really saw him again after that. Like, and then he came back and got killed. What? Wait a minute.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we all have heard that Tom Payne wanted to die. He was like, look, you're not using me on the show, so take me off the show. And it's sad that the final episode that he was in, he did some awesome things in it before he was, deceased. But
then then you have Chandler Riggs, Carl, who didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Who really has made it very vocal that he did not like the way he went out.
He bought a house and everything.
I know.
Yep, right in
And
Sonoy.
then Merle, Michael Rooker didn't want to leave, or I don't think he wanted to leave. He seems to have made a couple things about comments about like that they should have made more use of his, and I agree there. Holy cow. That was a character that just lit up the screen every time he was on.
Never knew what he was gonna
But
do.
John Bernthal wanted to die, or he was very happy to die because he got to be the Punisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sorry, Jaz.
I was just gonna say, you have to admit though, the way that they wrote off Merle was glorious. Like that was such a beautiful story. The way that they did that.
It was a Merle way to die.
And they allowed
So
him
taste the
redemption.
fingers.
Yeah, they allowed him a redemption. He's what I really like about The Walking Dead, and it's kind of you're seeing less and less of it, is that the bad guys were not one-dimensional. They're just not pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
And there was always a method. There was a reason. They could explain their behavior, their attitudes, whatever it was, from Negan to the governor to Merle to the Terminus. It pissed me off when I saw the Reapers. So the Reapers come in, and I haven't been reading the comic books where the Reapers come in, so I don't know the Reaper story.
Or
I
if
don't think
they're
they're
even in
the
there.
comic.
They
Oh,
might
yeah,
be
I
I think they're
totally
just brand new for
independent.
the show.
Okay, so they come in, and first of all, okay, they kill the guy, and then they shoot the woman in the stomach, which is so obvious that this guy is a dead shot, and yet he shoots her. So obviously they're flushing him out. And Daryl and Maggie knew that, but somehow the other girl who, if you're alive at this point, you
should have more
damn savvy. You didn't survive this far into the apocalypse without knowing a thing or two, without being a little understanding of the new rules. And she's like, oh my God, I'm going to run right in there and get shot. I'm like, well,
And then
Maggie,
it's like Duck, and she's like,
Unless
looking
you're
around.
in a situation like the World Beyond kids who have literally never been exposed to the outside world since the apocalypse hit, which is like rare, but
yeah, but I think they were trained, like they've been trained to fight and defend themselves. Some of them were.
he was like a deer in headlights.
Yeah. So
Disgusting.
I was like, whoa. Really?
I was so mad.
Yeah, and then the second, okay, so like Negan always said, people are assets, you use them. So if you're the governor is obviously, who is he gonna, if there's someone that he saw a group of people outside and he's gonna kill anyone that could challenge him. So he sees a bunch of soldiers, he's gonna kill the soldiers, he's not gonna kill the women and children. He's gonna bring them in because they're gonna come under his protection and then use them. But if you're a threat to him, yeah, he's gonna kill you.
Well, I have a history with the National Guard. You don't even want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if you are you could be a threat, but you're a broken person, you're a damaged person that he knows that he can guide you.
Andrea.
Merle, Andrea, all those dangerous people, but he didn't kill them. He brought them in. He killed the guard when he saw them because he said, these guys are gonna come in and they're gonna assume like, look, we're in charge now, and that's not gonna play well. Okay, but then you got the Whispers. The Whispers don't care. They feel the more dead, the better. Everybody's dead right now, so they don't care. They're just gonna kill anyone willy-nilly. Terminus, they're killing people for appetizers, so you know why they're doing it.
Hey, main course.
Okay, so then Reapers, like, why would they, like, honestly, they could have that guy could have taken them, and you say, okay, if there's very few people on the planet at this point, and you need to start thinking longer term, like, well, we're going to need women, and
We need to reproduce.
So should I just kill every childbearing woman I see for no reason that I don't need to kill them, but I'm just going to kill them. No, I don't think so.
He said
I
Pope
don't-
Martin, which I want to know who the Pope is and why are you just killing people for no reason?
I
Exactly.
think their
Just-
I think their motivations are not clear at this point. So I think we need to give them a little bit of time to say what's going on. But yes, I agree that there's a lot of waste of people throughout this
Look
whole
at the
thing.
wolves. There are some people
Yeah.
like that. They just kill people just because.
Yeah, but the wolves were like insane. They
were
just-
insane.
Well, who knows
Yeah.
what the Reapers are? We have Miss
Well, that guy
Kayla.
didn't look insane. That guy was obviously had his faculties about him. Yeah, he was massive. He was a sharp shooter. He was a trained fighter. He knew how to don personal protective equipment. He was not a wolf walking around with a carved
It was called
letter in his, that guy. So, and then he just, obviously he's also someone that's probably going to follow orders. So why would they say, yeah, and by the way, if you see any women out there and children or just kill them, that
Well,
I want to
anyway,
hear the
just the ones-
explanation for it. It
Just the ones that Pope marked. Miss Kayla, Deborah, and Phyllis all said that Jesus was
oh,
the most wasted character,
Yeah.
which I agree. Miss Kayla also said Tom Paine is a gorgeous and awesome guy. I think he's an awesome guy. I don't find him particularly attractive, but that's just me. Ms. Kayla also says the Carl situation was terrible. Carl should still be on the show. Though it is tough with all these time jumps. If they're doing time jumps, how can Carl, I mean, yes, he was getting older, but are they going to paint a beard on him, to make him look
Chandler has
older?
a beard. He
Yeah.
shaved it. Did you see Chandler Ben had a beard?
He had a scraggle.
Ben had a beard. Chandler and Steve are the two deaths that have hurt me the most in the show. Period. It's not even a competition. I was a mess when Glenn died. I almost quit watching the show. I couldn't.
a lot of people did. A lot of people.
Well,
That broke a lot of people.
Negan was
You
having
know.
a dance party.
yeah, I would definitely say there were a lot of things that they did that really caused the show to go downhill. Not only the death of Glenn and Abraham, but the way that Negan himself ground Rick into the dirt so badly for a full half a season. People didn't like watching that.
Yeah,
No.
see,
Brutal.
and I didn't mind that.
Well, you're a sick man.
No, but I got it. Listen, it was not pleasant to watch. It was not feel good TV, but it was part of the story. And you saw how Negan used psychology and both violence and psychology to dominate and and that's how he was building this army of people behind him. And in his mind, eventually Rick was going to be a powerful number 2 or number 3, and that Rick would eventually bend and fall. And that in Negan's mind, that Negan saw, I'm not going to kill Rick. He could have killed Rick, but he didn't, because he saw Rick too valuable. But he saw Rick as someone that he wanted underneath him. Rick had to understand that there is no other one than Rick had to become Negan, say, I am Negan. And I understand that. I even understand why they had him kill Abraham. And, first he killed Abraham because obviously he saw Abraham as a threat, but then he killed Glenn because for the shock factor, meaning not
He wanted Maggie to
Negan,
be
but
his
the
wife.
writers. The writers killed Glenn because it was such a shock. Like, you saw that video where Stephen Yin was at a signing and the girl just broke down and started sobbing, and he had to go around the table and hug her because she was just, in her mind, he was dead, and there he was standing right in front of her signing her autograph. But then, that I could get all that. But yeah, so it's not meant to always be pleasant.
Negan
Well, that is true. And there are those people who cannot, distinguish between reality and fantasy, says the guy who actually is dressed up as the governor and talks like him. We are actually running low on time, guys. So I do want to say Deborah said Carl was kind of okay because we got preteen Judith And Carl was actually in the panel saying how Judith and Henry both kind of took aspects of his storyline, and Judith is pretty much carrying along, where Carl would be at this point. So,
And hopefully RJ, whenever we get a permanent RJ.
yeah, whatever happens with RJ. But let's go around. Let's say final thoughts, and also, where people can find you online. Jaz, why don't you start us off?
All right. Looking forward to the next episode of the show. Obviously, can't wait to see what goes on there. And you can find me here at Wizard World, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Awesome. Sean?
You can find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Machond, youtube.com/Machond. Instagram is Life of Machond and the Plant Brigade. Let's just say I hope my reactions stop getting copyrighted because we don't have much Walking Dead left. I'm trying to savor every moment.
Absolutely. Neil?
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all social platforms at Exit Zero Zombie, spelled out at Exit Zero Zombie, where you can find my Exit Zero Zombie trilogy, my book about how to turn your fandom into an entrepreneurship, and definitely please contact me. Exit Zero Zombie.
And you can find me on Fandom Spotlight, which is also on YouTube or fandomspotlight.com. And you can see my Governor Reacts until, they make a determination, because I got copyright claimed. We could have a whole panel on just bitching about Shop AMC and how they copyright claim people who are trying to promote their products. But we're not going to do that right now. But yeah, you can find also at Fandom Spotlight, LITE at the end, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, pretty much everywhere. You can find Fandom Spotlight, even if you spell it wrong. And again, thanks to Wizard World for bringing us on board. Don't forget to check out their horror signature series coming up, and go ahead to wizardworld.com to find out all the details on that. We will see everyone next week. And hopefully it looks to be a more interesting action-filled episode next week. So that could be fun.
What's the title of next week's episode? I always skip the preview and I never look at it. Just tell me the title, just the title.
Now you're asking, and I don't remember what the title was. I just know it's got Aaron and Father Gabriel, and they get to meet a Terminator, T-1000.
Oh yeah, that's
so yeah, I hope that gives you enough of a hint about what's going on. But it's
I think the title is, okay, Find Me was 118, 119 is called One More, 120 is called Splinter, 121 Diverged, and 122 Here's Negan.
Here's Negan.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that one. That was so
Here's Negan. We're gonna have to see.
I see that behind Machond there. The Here's Negan comic book. I got a signed one also from Jeffrey Dean.
I read Here's Negan. It was good, but I got to finish the little bit of rest of Compendium 4 that I have so I can read Negan Lives. I'd have to finish this before the Here's Negan episode.
All right. Well, then we'll let you get to it.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
do it live on YouTube. I should have mentioned that. I live read the comics.
That is awesome. I might have to do that with my drawl. For the people in the South who can't understand you, Northern people. All right. Again, thanks everyone out there for watching. Thanks, to Deborah and Ms. Kayla and Phyllis and Misty Rose and everybody who's been watching and commenting. Thank you so much. Thanks to Wizard World. We'll see you guys next week. This is Walking Dead Panel out.
This is all connected. You show up, and now 3 of us are gone.
Why'd you bring us here?
have a choice. The only thing you can choose is what you're risking.